Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Borough Ball. I'm Max Rosen. I'm joined by my good pals JD and Mike Schiavone here. We have a lot to talk about, mostly on the Mets and Yankees side of things, but also on the WBC. The championship, the final was last night with just the abysmal performance from the USA lineup, including these two fellas, hero Aaron Judge. Terrible managing job by Mark DeRosa throughout the whole tournament. Yeah, let's jump right into it, guys. I wanted to talk, Mike. So, JD, Mike and I were having this kind of a debate last night over text,
Mhm.
and we kind of said this is going to be great, uh, a great talking point for the podcast today
Mhm.
about Aaron Judge. And I want to look at that at bat he had. Maybe it was the sixth inning thereabouts against Jose Buto.
Yeah.
He's ahead 3-1. He takes a fastball right down the middle, stares at it, and then grounds out on a hanging slider the next pitch. To me, that is inexcusable for a guy who's the captain, who's the best hitter in the world. I'll say that that can't happen.
Well, we could look at it. I mean, a couple different ways. I'm always going to be a Judge defender till the day I die. But believe me, this tournament has been a rough watch outside of the first two games for me. I could talk to you about how pitchers are always ahead and it's March, or I could also come at it the other way and say, big spot like that, you put this whole team together. You're the captain. I don't care if it's March, July, or December. You got to hit that pitch. So I'm upset with Judge. I mean, I feel like there have been a couple instances that I could name by memory. I mean, that game against Italy after the Pete Crow Armstrong homer, where I think there was a man on chance to tie it in the ninth with two outs, and another situation here against Venezuela twice in the game, just to name a few. I think I expected more out of Judge this tournament. I'm sad we didn't get it, but he is human, and you fail 7 times out of 10, you're a Hall of Famer. So I think this is one of those 7 times, unfortunately. But if there's another way to look at it, Mike, as a Yankee fan, I'd love to hear it.
I don't think there really is, to be honest. He was ahead 2-0 in the count. He takes a
Hmm.
cement mixer of a slider down the middle. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Maybe you're looking fastball. It's cool. And then
Hmm.
you get to 3-1 and you take the heater. I think he was just overthinking the at bat the entire time. He was thinking fastball was coming when a slider was thrown, and he was thinking a slider was coming when a fastball was thrown. I just think sometimes the big moments they get to him, believe it or not. I
They
think
do. They do get to.
he overthinks it. I think he lets the moment get a little too big, and we've seen it not in just this WBC, but in other postseasons as well. The 2025 postseason was awesome. He was great, but there's a lot of other sample that shows that he's not good. And
Look, I have all the respect in the world for Aaron Judge. He's a great player. He's probably the best hitter alive. I would say one of the best players of this generation. But to me, it's not. Not you can't come through every time as a hitter in baseball. That's how it goes. Absolutely. What gets me with this at bat is taking the 3-1 fastball down the middle. Because if he swings at that and he fouls it back, fine. Like that's how it goes sometimes. That's baseball. Or he swings through it, stuff happens. But you're Aaron Judge in that spot. You're the captain and you are the player that you are in that situation. I don't understand how you can possibly be looking at anyone else or for anything else. Mike said it to me yesterday too. If he, is sitting fastball and Budo throws another slider and he looks at it for a strike, fine. And it's 3-2. Like you're still alive. It is what it is. That is the exact pitch that you need to be dead set on smacking in that situation. You cannot take it. So to me, it's less of a situation of, he didn't come through. Like that happens sometimes. And more, I don't understand where he was mentally, what he was looking for in that spot.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too.
I
It's
agree.
Yeah, but I will say, did better than all the Mets hitters on Team USA, which I think there were none. Am I right? No one was good enough to make Team USA from Queens.
Well, I mean, most of the Mets star players are not uh,
You're not American.
That
American.
that doesn't that doesn't fit my narrative though, so I can't
Well,
include that
that
in the
means it's a poor
conversation.
narrative. I would say it's a poor narrative.
USA had two guys show up last night. Maybe a few more if you want to count some of the bullpen arms. Bryce
Hmm.
Harper showed up.
You wanted to pinch hit for Harper, Mike.
I did. I said in the eighth inning, I said if his spot came up with a runner on, that would have represented the tying run. I wanted Gunner to get in there, but did get in against what was it Palencia in the last day, and he popped up. But hey, that's why I'm not the manager of Team USA. Mark DeRosa is. Speaking of Mark DeRosa,
Let me tell you something about Mark DeRosa, and I know there may be disagreements here. He has a tough job in this tournament. To me,
you
with
told me
what
last night it was the
Does
easiest
he?
job in baseball.
you can make an argument either way. It's an easy job in the sense that he has the roster that he has, and it's a tough job in that
There's so
you would
much
say
stuff going on behind the scenes that we have
absolutely
no idea.
in
No
appeasing
idea.
the major league clubs. But here's where my real argument is. The only way, in my opinion, he could redeem himself from what happened in the pool play round was by winning the whole tournament. That's the only way he could redeem himself. In my opinion, his where he thought they had punched their ticket to the quarterfinal, whatever his quote was, they said, with that not being the case, that to me means that I can't trust him to manage any team in any situation going forward. I personally would not think he's the guy.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, I think it is an easy job. And I know the whole thing's coming out about wasn't going to pitch Mason Miller unless it was a safe situation and trying to get everyone into the mix. It's the championship game. Don't start Byron Buxton and take out PCA, who's been great for you this tournament and give you everything and more speed defense that Buxton can. Like, why is Gunnar Henderson not in the starting lineup? Well, I'm glad he took out Cal Raleigh finally, that fraud, by the way. I think, and I didn't super love the bullpen management in the semifinal game either. I think, who was it? Rogers or Jacks?
Rogers got
Griffin
Soto to
Jacks.
ground into double play. Yeah.
Griffin Jacks came in and threw like 6 pitches in one inning. And I don't know how you don't. I don't know. We could nitpick bullpen management all day. That's not really the issue. I think there were a lot of head scratching decisions that probably shouldn't have been made when you look at a roster of this caliber. So um, I don't know. I don't want to back that whole Team Italy punch the ticket thing. Kind of soured him for me
I
permanently.
agree.
Like
I,
if people want to trash him for that whole comments and all that stuff like that, I'm totally on board with it. Totally agree. But in
Mhm.
terms of, you could say he has an easy job managing a lineup full of stars and a bullpen full of guys that can, go out there and get outs. But I thought he did a pretty good job in terms of the bullpen management and the if you could disagree if you want, but I thought he did a pretty good job with it. He went to Tyler Rogers after Skeens and he got Soto to ground into a double play, so you can
Mhm.
give him credit there if you want. If you don't want to, it's fine too. And then Jax, Bednar, Whitlock, and Miller all have been locked down in the WBC until last night when Whitlock, didn't have his best stuff, walking a rise and giving up the uh, go-ahead double to Suarez. But I
Mhm.
thought, for what it was worth, I thought his bullpen management was fine. The whole thing with Miller, I think, is being blown out of the water. He was never
Mhm.
coming in unless it was a safe situation that was made clear by the Padres. That was made clear by DeRosa. I think it was reported plenty ahead of the game, so everyone knew. But I think also where I can see people getting a little upset is if Miller is geared up to pitch one inning, right? Why not put him
Mhm.
in that ninth inning? But again, it's not a safe situation, so that's why he wasn't put in. And I don't think I think it's just that's how it went.
to me, DeRosa is not the reason they lost. There's a distinction there. I don't think they lost because of DeRosa. They lost because this is perhaps the greatest lineup of baseball players ever assembled, and they scored 2 runs in a final. That's why they lost. But my greater point is not necessarily that, as I said, it's not that DeRosa lost in the tournament. It's that I think he proved to me that he's not cut out to be a manager. If they lost that game to who was it? Who was the last pool play game? Mexico? No, no.
Italy,
If they
Italy.
were eliminated because they had to see what happened with the Italy Mexico game. If that game didn't go their way and they're eliminated there, then I would be saying obviously that you could put blame on him for why they didn't make it out of the pool play round. They got lucky. That game turned out how they needed it to. Um, and so then down the stretch in the elimination rounds, he's not why they lost. But I just don't trust him. On that, I mentioned the lineup. I think they should be embarrassed, frankly. You have Bobby Witt Jr., you have Bryce Harper and Aaron Judge and Kyle Schwarber and Alex Bregman, and the list goes on throughout the lineup of just star players. They scored 2 runs against the Dominican Republic in the semifinal game as well. They got lucky. It was a great pitching performance by Skeens and then by the bullpen. That's not good enough either, though. 2 runs in that game, and then you score 2 runs against Eduardo Rodriguez. Well, they didn't score against Eduardo
they scored
Rodriguez
nothing. Yeah.
in the year 2026. Like, there's no reason that should happen with that lineup. It's inexcusable.
You got to give Venezuela some credit. I mean, Rodriguez was
Rodriguez pitched great.
his stuff was good.
He pitched great.
His changeup was working. He was not missing in the middle of the plate. He was working the corners. That whole entire I think out of all the pitches that they threw last night, the one bad pitch was the Harper, the changeup in the middle of the plate. But other than that, the Venezuelan pitching staff executed to a T, and hats off to them. That's what you got to do sometimes.
They did a good job, but my point still stands that this lineup is too good to let that happen.
I agree, but the pitching, the Venezuelan pitching, in the DR pitching too was very good.
And that's what I'm thinking. This is where it's hard to kind of quantify how much impact a manager has on a team. And I think this is one of those times. It felt like through pool play, it was they thought that they were going to advance automatically. The way they carried themselves, the way they played. The only big offensive games we saw really were against Great Britain and Brazil. There was no fire in no offensive explosion. They put up a couple against Mexico. I'll give them that, but they didn't. It never truly felt like they were there. Like Team USA has arrived and they're clicking because I don't really think they cared very much. And I know they care enough a little bit, but it didn't feel like the Team DR or Christopher Sanchez saying, "Start me, relieve me. I'll pitch in the sixth or the ninth. I don't even care. Just let me in the game." I didn't think there was any of that for Team USA, and I think that translated to what the offensive output was. Nobody really was chomping at the bit to be there, or at least it didn't seem that way outwardly. So I think that's why they've had such a hard time stringing it
Fully agree.
together.
Like if you look at the pool play round, those are all teams. Frankly, I mean, Italy's a pretty good team. Mexico's a pretty good team. They should have been even still no
Yeah,
problems beating those teams. They're
yeah,
good teams, but with the quality of the roster that this USA team had, they should have had no problem. Brazil, they ended up winning by like 10, I think, but it was 8-5 in like the
Yeah,
eighth inning.
yeah,
That team was horrible,
yeah.
horrible. A 3-run game in the eighth inning. We're kind of nitpicking here, but like, and I think your point about it felt like obviously like you go like they care, but it didn't feel like it so much. That's part of why like I was rooting for USA to win, but I
Mhm.
was honestly having a little trouble with it. Like I would watch these games against some of these other teams, and I'd kind of subconsciously find myself almost pulling for the other team, like
Yeah.
because and you saw what it meant to Venezuela to win yesterday to those players
Oh yeah.
and to the fans both that were at the stadium, and then I'm seeing clips of fans in Venezuela.
Mhm.
USA wins, the reaction for the players from the fans is nowhere close to that. It
No.
just doesn't mean as much, and so it I would
well,
have liked
I don't think
USA
it
to win.
means. I don't think it means doesn't mean as much. It's just they don't show it outwardly like the
Right, but
Dominicans
I
do and
guess
the
it's
Venezuelans
I
do.
like the showing it outwardly. I like
Yeah, that's fine, but I don't think you
I
can hold that. I don't think you can hold that against the Americans. I
I
think
think
they cared just as much as those teams did, but they just didn't show it, by jumping up and down and, you know, showboating home runs. They just didn't do it that way.
the players maybe, but the fans definitely not. And the fans are a big part of it too. What this means to the Venezuelan fans is infinitely more than what it would mean to American fans. Like to me, like I was rooting for the USA. If they won, to be like, oh great, cool. When's opening day next week? Like, and I love the WBC, but and I loved watching it. But in terms of Team USA specifically, it just I found it hard to be like, man, this is what like I'm really into this pulling for Team USA. There's a lot about the other teams that I really liked.
We
Yeah.
could we could go back and forth speculating about effort level and everything for God knows how long, but I would like to see a little more. I don't need any 40-second minute and a half trips around the bases, but give me something.
And there were times when Judge hit home runs. I've never seen
Yeah.
him celebrate the way he did in a regular season game in May at Yankee Stadium, the way he was
Yeah.
running around the bases in Houston. So
Hmm.
They care. Like I get it, but it's something the way they
they were
play and
never
the way
they
they
were never
It
coach.
was
going to
flat.
show it like that though. That's
I
just
know.
not how they ever were going to be.
I don't disagree, and you can't necessarily fault them for that, I guess. But it just, regardless of whether what how much they actually compared versus how they or actually cared versus how the other teams cared, it looks like the other teams care more, and that's kind of infectious. And that it's like I don't know, I like that. It's cool.
Well, only one team that was jumping up and down had it, ended up finishing above them. So
But they looked flat. They looked flat the whole time. It wasn't. It didn't feel
I think it was just
dynamic,
based
or it
off of
didn't feel like they
performance,
were
though.
clicking.
They didn't play well. So when you don't play well,
Yeah.
you don't really tend to show it that
And I'm
much with
saying that
your
the lack of
enthusiasm.
I'm saying like the lack of play stemmed from a lack of enthusiasm, and you know what I'm trying to say. Like they came out flat. They came out. We're gonna walk through this tournament what's the big deal? And then I feel like that energy of, oh, we're fine, we got time, just kind of fermented, and they got shut down. I don't know. I think I don't, they were flat and they never woke up, and that's what frustrates me.
I
Agreed.
mean, you had 3 hits in a 9 inning final. It can't happen.
Can't
No,
happen.
Can't happen.
no.
Well, one last as we wrap up the WBC. One
Mm.
last thing I wanted to say is I am so happy that Italy lost in I guess it was the
Really?
semifinal. I like the team. I like the guys. I like Pasquantino. They had a good
Mhm.
time. I like the whole thing. But in an international tournament, it still kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit that they're all Americans playing for Italy. And I have no problem with their story, getting out of pool play, kind of unexpected, great, winning a quarterfinal against who they beat in the quarterfinal?
They beat
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Cool, fine and dandy. I just didn't really want them to win the whole thing.
Hmm.
I'm happy that a country like Venezuela that loves baseball, it's clear how passionate all these guys are about it. I'm glad it was a country like that won.
So are you saying that Italy doesn't care about baseball? And that
Not
that
on the
team,
level that Venezuela
and then a
does.
team full of guys from New Jersey shouldn't have won.
That's what I'm saying. Correct.
Well, I think what's getting lost in this is that the two losses that USA had were both started by a Met, and I think that's probably the main issue here.
Is it? Look, I think Nolan. He was not great against Italy, though. I don't think I ever
Nope.
watched. I wasn't able to watch that game. I don't think I ever saw the Pasquantino home run, but the Antonacci home run was a fastball that was like here, and he somehow turned on it. I'll tip my cap. Good hitting on that. And yesterday, I thought
Mhm.
he pitched fine. I know you're being a little facetious, but there,
We should have done a bullpen game and not let don't let the Red Sox and Mets pitch, and we would have been fine. But
I thought he looked gross yesterday. I wish the wild pitch didn't happen, but
mm,
as we said, not his fault. They didn't score. So
Yep, he pitched well. Definitely pitched well.
I thought he did his job. He gave them more length than I mean. DeRosa said it. They were hoping he would get like through the third inning, and he
mhm.
went into the fifth. Uh, Pitch count was great the whole game, so I thought he did what he had to do.
Yeah,
Uh,
he
let's
pitched
uh,
well.
let's make a transition here over to spring training and the Mets and Yankees. JD, did you have something that you wanted to throw out there?
Oh no, I just I was going to keep riffing and ripping on Nolan McLean and Garrett Whitlock letting down the whole team. I mean, the they can't prevent the other teams from scoring runs, but the Yankees didn't do a great job driving in any. So I figured I'd keep that one in the back pocket.
Aaron Judge did nothing wrong in that game to contribute to the loss. Uh, if we go over to the Yankees, well, we can start with the Yankees. Uh, you guys are obviously our Yankees experts. I know we wanted to talk about the bullpen battle, a couple of spots there, and Garrett Cole. What do we got?
Yeah, Cole's going to be on the mound today. He's got 1 inning against the Red Sox, so that should be pretty cool to see. I don't think he's ahead by any means, but I don't think there's been any setbacks experience, which is good. I think he's trending in the right direction, and he needs to take his time, build back up, and if he's ready in June, he's ready in June. So the Yankees are going to need him to be healthy, into the summer so they can make their run in the postseason. But I think all signs are pointing to Garrett Cole is, trending in the right direction and is going to be a big part of what the Yankees do come the summertime.
Yeah, look out tomorrow or later today, even when Garrett Cole, if he has a good inning, he goes out there, he throws like 13 pitches, racks up a strikeout, and gets a clean inning. You're gonna see all the idiot Yankee fans like, oh, put him on opening day. Come on, Boone, what are you doing? So don't fall for that. He still definitely needs time. But yeah, Cole looks good. I know they've got kind of a hot gun in spring training where everybody's hitting their career highs in velo, like Weathers and Cole already hitting 97. But let's see a little velo out of Cole. What do we got?
We'll see. He'll hop out there today on the game gun and toss 93. Everyone's going to freak out.
Seriously,
What
that
he
could
was
also
tossing
happen
93
too.
all along.
God, I hope not. Oh man, how about Mike? Have you heard anything about Rodon? Because I sure haven't.
I haven't really. I thought he threw some sort of live BP, maybe couple days ago, a week ago. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's a little bit ahead of Cole in terms of getting back. I think he's more of an end of April, early May option, which will be good. But I want to talk about Luis Heel. He's
Yeah.
somebody that hasn't looked good in spring training. His fastball is just not getting the same swing and miss that it once did. Um, his slider and changeup location haven't been good. They're getting hit around in the middle of the plate. So
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to have to be in the starting rotation just in terms of what they have.
Mm-hmm.
With obviously Cole and Rodon still recovering from their injuries, but
Mm-hmm.
Heel is somebody that I hope can build some value, so where he can become a trade piece, but he's never going to have the same value he had after his rookie season. There were talks that the Astros were looking for Luis Heel in a potential Kyle Tucker trade, and the
That's
Yankees
right.
never pulled the trigger on that. So again,
Probably should
it's
have done that.
probably it's another
Probably.
example of the Yankees perhaps holding on to their guys a little bit too long, but
Well,
I
I
just don't.
was I was told
I
that
hope he can build some value up for himself as a starting pitcher five, and maybe
he was the truth, Luis Heel.
He's the
where
real deal.
I was told.
yeah. So that's when his fastball was like 98, 99, and his changeup was gross, and his slider was not hanging out in the middle of the plate.
How hard is he throwing now?
I think he's
Couldn't
like
tell you.
anywhere from 94 to 96.
Not a hunch anymore.
Not 100.
When Luis Hill's coming out chucking a hunch and wild as ever, he misses bats and he's not trying to push and locate. But I feel like he's not taking well to trying to cut down on the walks and he's sacrificing velo and walking people still.
Yeah,
So he'll
yeah.
figure it out.
He didn't strike anybody out when he pitched last year, and he walked way too many. It's just not a
Yep.
recipe for success. So
Nope.
I
So
mean,
he'll be what, the 5 in the
he'll be the
rotation?
five. Yeah, probably you'll have
Do you put do
Freed,
you
you'll
put
have Schlittler, you'll have Will Warren, who's had a good spring. Weathers, and then Heel will be the fifth.
Mike,
who's got the higher upside?
you talk a
Sorry, Mike.
lot about the Mets rotation being a question mark. To me, that's a big question. I know you guys got a couple guys coming back, but that sounds a little iffy to me.
I mean, we'll see, right? I
No.
mean, anything can happen. I'm really confident in Freed and Schlittler at the top, and then Warren. He's the fastballs looked really, really good this spring in terms of IVB. Is that what they call it?
That's
Yeah.
Vertical
the
break.
induced vertical break, if I'm
That's what
not
they call it,
mistaken.
right? Yeah,
Couple
I've
ball
heard
nodes
that's
over here.
the numbers on that have came out pretty good. The fastball's working, and again, like I think Will Warren is just a guy. He had a really good season last year. There were a few blow up starts in there where it kind of inflated his ERA a bit, but he's another guy in year two. I think he can take a step forward and be a very serviceable, 3 or 4 for this rotation.
If you can give me 30 plus starts, keep the ERA around 4, you can
That'll
find a
work.
home in the back end of a rotation on
Absolutely.
all 30 teams. So
Yeah.
not worried about Warren. I think the sky's the limit for Schlittler, and we're really banking on some health. We're banking on Cole and Rodon to come back, and maybe even Schmidt later in the back half. So if all goes the way the Yankees plan it will go, which never happens, but they will be in a good spot come August, September in games that matter with guys hitting their stride. So until then, we'll figure it out. But uh, when I'm listing off my concerns, that the starting pitching is not one of them at the moment.
And it does help. You have with Rodon coming back and then Cole coming back at some point. If if Heel struggles or if Warren struggles for whatever reason, if whoever isn't quite getting the job done, you'll have a couple guys coming back. I personally have think that Carlos Rodon is not very good, uh, but that's more of a comparison to his contract. Not that he's not a serviceable major league starter. I think he'll come in and be uh, fine. And then Cole, obviously, Cole's Cole. Hopefully, he comes back fine. So there is a lot of insurance there. It sounds like. While I think the opening day rotation is questionable, Fried and Schlittler should be pretty good. Even the young pitchers are always a little bit of a question mark. But with how high I am on McLean, I can't really sit here
I
and
was about
tell
to
you
say, yeah, you're
you're
telling me
wrong.
multiple
Yeah.
times Cy Young over 8 starts.
Right? I can't tell you that you're wrong for being high on Schlittler. But if the guys behind that struggle a little bit, there's reinforcements coming.
And
And
McLean,
that's a
is
good
he
point.
0-2 now? And oh no, he's not. Whitlock got the loss last night. My fault.
Whitlock got the loss. The
My fault.
guy did his job. I will not take any of the slander of McLean. He did his job.
I was
And
gonna
that's
make
the
a
most honest
comparison,
thing I've
but
ever
I
heard.
couldn't do it. I don't know if you're picking up what I'm putting down, Max.
Am I was trying to let JD talk, but you won't let him
Yeah,
talk.
that's on me.
So
All right,
so
continue.
I wasn't
Moot
listening to
point.
you.
Moot point. Moot point.
I was just going to keep ripping on the Mets and McClay. He played well, but they still lost, which is the most Mets thing I've ever heard. But and let's not forget, before we move on from the rotation, having a couple holes maybe present themselves actually excites me a little bit. Pause. Eduardo Rodriguez. I'm sorry, not Eduardo Rodriguez. ERC Elmer Rodriguez.
Elmer.
That's right.
Elmer
Formerly
Blue.
Rodriguez Cruz. Love to see what he can do. He's had some crazy helium shot up through the minors. And Carlos Legrand. I know
Mike's
they
boy.
probably want to keep him as a starter. You can chuck 103.5 pretty regularly, sitting at 100. 101 his last time out. So if some holes pop out, I'd love to see these two get their cup of coffee at the big league level.
I love how
That
you brought
excites
up
me
Legrand
greatly.
again, because presumably this rotation will come back, right? Cole's going to come back. Rodon's going to come
Mhm.
back. Then you're still going to have Fried, Schlittler, and Warren, perhaps, right? So
Right.
that's probably your rotation. And then by the summertime, maybe Weathers bumps to the bullpen. That's a guy that
Yeah.
can throw gas 98, 99 from the left
I,
side,
I think he
right?
profiles better as a reliever than a starter,
And then
personally.
Absolutely.
Legrand, I really want him to be a starter, right? He's his
Hmm.
uniqueness and his stuff and all of that. Like if that can be a starter, that's just great. You're set up for greatness in that regard. But I do
Absolutely.
believe like the Yankees need to maximize their championship window, right? And
Hmm.
by leaving Legrand to rot in AAA would just be silly. Like you can have him start this year in the minor leagues as a starter, right? Build up a little
Hmm.
bit. But then if you're in July, August, bring him up in the bullpen, man. He can be dynamite in a 2 to 3 inning role. So now
Absolutely.
you have Bednar who throws gas, right? The Yankees' biggest problem was guys they didn't have guys that threw velo. Like
Hmm.
Weaver was 95, 96. It's fine. Williams is kind of the same thing. It's fine. But you need guys who can go out there and just throw gas, throw fastballs by people. Like Bednar's more at 96, 97, but he still has two other really good pitches to go to. And
Hmm.
then you now have Doval who throws 100. LeGrand throws 100. Weathers can throw 98, 99. And then I don't
Hmm.
know if you've been seeing this guy, Giovanni Cruz, JD.
No, I haven't.
So he's gotten a late start to spring training. But he's come in the last two games, I believe. He's hit
Hmm.
102.
Get out of here.
Somebody that Aaron Boone says is in the mix for the bullpen, but he's had a
Wow.
slow start to spring training, so he's probably not going to be ready for that spot yet.
Okay.
But that can be somebody maybe in the summer months, maybe even sooner. Who knows? That can make an impact for the Yankee bullpen. So those are guys like if that's the bullpen route they choose to go, bring up Legrand and bring Weathers to the bullpen. You have like five guys that are throwing cheddar, which I think is a really good thing for
Yeah.
a top for a good bullpen.
Between Elmer and Legrand, who do you think potentially helps the big league team sooner? Would you say Legrand because he's
Wow.
more likely to come out of the bullpen?
I would say Legrand, only because that velo plays at every level. I'm looking at his scouting report right now. He's got a 70 grade fastball, and they don't just give those out. So he's also got a 60 grade slider and 55 cutter and 55 changeup, which are all above average to plus pitches, and that's what we look for out of starters versus relievers. If Carlos Legrand had one out pitch and the fastball, I say put him in the bullpen right now and forget about it. But I think the fact that his weapons have developed so early and there's so many of them, I think he cracks that roster first because you don't want to waste 103 in the
Yeah.
minors.
Like, again, you can have them start games for April, May, and if June rolls
Yeah,
around and you need somebody to come and fill in a spot in the bullpen, like don't waste time. Bring that guy up because he's absolute dynamite and he can make a difference.
yeah. Cut Paul Blackburn, Carlos
I'm
Legrand.
not a big
Paul
Plug him
fan
into
of
him.
carrying Paul Blackburn and Ryan Yarborough
Paul
to
No,
start
Trackburn,
the
as
season.
Frank says.
Like you don't need
yeah,
two guys providing you the same service in the
And Ryan
bullpen.
no,
Yarbrough is infinitely better at that service.
knock on wood.
So like
Yeah.
right now, the last two bullpen like you have Ben like right now it's gonna be you have Bednar, you have Doval, you have Fernando Cruz, you have Tim Hill.
Mhm.
Um, like those four are gonna be you're like locked in,
That's
right?
It's not
yeah.
bad.
And then Jake Bird is probably gonna get a spot. He's been pretty solid. I like the stuff on him. Hopefully getting out of Colorado and um, kind of resetting in AAA last year will help him a bit. I really like Brent Hedrick.
Yeah.
He's another guy with the IVB, the induced vertical break. The fastball really plays up 96, 97. So I hope that can be something that can play from the left side. And then you have Yarborough and Blackburn. So that's probably going to be your eight to start. That would be my eight to start. But
Hmm.
we'll see. We'll see.
What else you got in the Yankees? Anything?
Let me see. I think are we doing
Ryan McMahon
Spring
playing
training?
shortstop. Do
There
we
you
like
go.
that?
There you go.
I love that. I absolutely love that. If we're getting a 650 OPS out of our shortstops anyway, let's at least get a good glove out there and open up that third base spot. I mean, I don't even know who you'd fill it with. I think
Rosario,
McMahon.
perhaps.
Yeah, in that case, then you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'd rather keep Ryan McMahon over there at third base. He's got the cannon for it. He's been playing the position. He didn't even come up as a shortstop and transfer to third. He's been a third baseman since high school. So I think he knows that position better than Ahmed Rosario does. So if it's to replace Volpe long term and you sign him to maybe 3 to 4 years, if he could hit his weight ever, I love it. But if it's just to get Rosario in the lineup, just put him at short.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's really going to be a thing that they really utilize much. It'll be maybe like a once every 2 week kind of thing. Get Caballero
Yeah,
off his feet. Caballero should be
just to
getting all
have.
of the run until Volpe's getting
Yeah.
close to coming back.
How
That
much do
like,
you think they
And
give him?
maybe beyond Volpe coming back.
Yes, I like where I like where your head's at.
but this Ryan McMahon at shortstop presumably rids Max Schumann of a spot on the roster. I think because then
Hmm.
A's
his
legend.
his worth would be kind of he'd be kind of worthless. He's kind of that infielder that can play all around, and I think he can play a little
He's
bit of outfield too. But I don't know if you. I think Boone really likes McMahon at short, and the Yankees like the idea of that. And if they
yeah.
do, then I think they're going to utilize it. And then JC Escara, he's going to be the backup catcher. Ben Rice really hasn't caught much in spring training, which kind of
Hmm.
shows how much the Yankees value Escara. Boone was quoted the other day saying that he believes Escara is a top half of the league catcher.
Oh,
So
get
that
out
shows
of
how
here,
much they
Boone!
believe
Come
in
on,
him.
man! Come
But
on.
like I think again, Escara probably should have been a guy they could have traded right for a relief pitcher.
Hmm.
Like Rice could have been slotted in as your backup catcher, and then when there's a lefty on the mound, you could just slid Goldschmidt to first, Rice behind the plate, and then Wells sits. But clearly, they value Escara and what he brings both behind the plate and behind the plate and with the bat. Um,
Boone digs
Do
himself these
you?
holes, saying J.C. Escar is a top half of the league. Like, obviously, that's not true. They just don't say that. There's no. You can value Escar and think he's a good backup catcher, which is an important role on a team. That's fine. But you just are creating unnecessary narratives and expectations by saying things like that. You're not doing himself or yourself any favors.
Mike, can I ask you this? Do you think this Rice not catching and then giving a Scar a run as the backup, do you think that says more about their future plans for Ben Rice or how much they actually like Escara? Because they think Ben Rice is gonna be the next guy. The way they talk about him, the way he hit last year and how unlucky he's been in the baseball savant page. Is this giving Ben Rice clarity of position to focus and learn from Goldie? Or is it, God, we got to get this JC guy in the lineup?
I mean, it could be a little bit of both. I don't really think
Mm,
it's more so like saying JC Escar, you're going to play, three times a week. I don't think that's going to be the
yeah.
case. But also Ben Rice, like he's going to be playing the majority of the games at first base, and he needs to be able to play that position at not at like a not at a Gold Glove level, but he needs to play at a competent level.
Yeah.
Like we can't be having a guy not making the routine plays, not making routine scoops because that's very important over at first base. Saving
Hmm.
infielders a bunch of errors. So I don't think it's necessarily saying that Ben Rice is glued to first base, but I think it's saying that Escara is somebody that they value and that they think that can make a pretty good impact when in the game.
Right.
Speaking of Ben Rice trying to learn first base from a veteran Paul Goldschmidt, how's
Mhm.
the first base experiment going on in Queens over there with Jorge Polanco? Do
From
we
what
know?
I've seen, Jorge has done a great job. You know who else has done a great job at first base and may push for some playing time there is Brett Beatty. He's been terrific. He looks like a natural out there. I think he's really embracing the super utility role that they kind of are carving out for him. He's hitting the crap out of the ball as well. And so with you might see Polanco ticketed for a little bit more DH at bats uh, than we had anticipated, and maybe Beatty plays a little bit more first base. Polanco will still play first base. From what I've seen, he's done a fine job over there. We talked about this on our last episode, and Mike's trying to tell me that Polanco might be in trouble because it's a new position and first base is hard and the picking might be difficult. He's a career infielder that's picked balls for his career. I understand it's different, whatever. He knows how to pick a baseball. He's going to be fine. The question mark really is Bichette at third base. I think whether it's Polanco, Beatty, a mix of them at first base, they will be more than adequate and they're not going to hurt the team at the very least over at first base. Bichette might be. I haven't watched a ton because like all the Mets spring training games are like none of them are televised for some reason, and so I think the whole spring they had like 13 games total on SNY, which is ridiculous in the year 2026. But so it's
For
been
the
hard.
record, every Yankee spring training game is on Gotham Sports. For the record,
Good app. Um,
bad app, but at least the games are
at
somewhere
least
to be
they're
watched.
somewhere to watch.
I don't think you could pay me to watch Mets spring training. I think
Well, you couldn't pay
I'd
me to
rather
watch
watch
Yankee spring training.
I'd rather watch paint dry than watch Jorge Polanco field throws from Bo Bichette at third.
Well,
I want to give Brett Beatty some love. Brett Beatty,
Yeah,
awesome job.
Brett
Awesome.
Beatty is a guy. What 2 years ago he came up and he just could never figure
He
it out.
came up
Right? He
three
couldn't
and a
hit.
half years ago now.
He came up 3.5 years
He came
ago.
up August 2022.
He wasn't good with the bat. His defense wasn't good either, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
It was not what it is now.
But that guy, he busted his ass. He's learned multiple different positions. He's become a really good third baseman right now. He was fine with the bat last year, and now he's taking the opportunity to learn second base, to learn third base, to learn first base, to learn the corner outfield. Like, I can respect that.
I tip
I
my
can respect
cap
that.
to Brett Beatty. I believe Mendoza said he's comfortable playing him now at uh, third, second, first, and right field. I think, uh, and to do what he's done with learning those positions and being willing to kind of diversify himself on the field, while still hitting the ball the way he's hitting. I don't recall his exact numbers this spring off the top of my head, but they are very good. And he's hitting the ball hard consistently. It's a testament to his desire to make himself useful, you could say, to carve out a role, to find playing time, and he's going to get significant playing time this year. He played obviously he was the everyday third baseman for a good chunk of the season last year. Once he got hot, obviously that won't be the case now with Bichette. But he'll be a guy that is in the lineup more days than not, just playing a different position. Frequently they're going to find a bats for him. He'll DH sometimes too, I'm sure. Um, they're going to find a bats for him because he's hitting the ball the way he has, and he's proven, you know, despite being a top prospect, this is a guy who was easily a top 100 prospect, was supposed to be kind of the guy. It never really happened. There were a lot of questions about him. And to be in that spot in New York and then turn it around and really be in the position that he's put himself in now is a real testament, I think, to who he is. And I've got nothing but love for Brett Beatty. Mark Vientos, on the other hand,
you took the words right out of my mouth.
Team Nicaragua superstar.
the Nicaragua superstar. Um, this his spot on the roster becomes very interesting, and I've always been a Mark Vientos guy. I like Mark Vientos, but he is like between spring training and the WBC with Nicaragua, he has like 2 hits. The numbers are abysmal. Now he's been hitting the ball very hard, consistently. He is hitting to very tough luck, and Mendoza's been talking about this. He's hitting the ball 105 very, very consistently, and it's right at people. He has been very unlucky. That's not like trying to find an excuse. It's true. His numbers probably should be better than they are. But regardless, he has 2 hits in, a month now of playing games. I believe I saw Mendoza the other day told him that he has a spot on the team that, don't stress. Like, you're hitting the ball well, keep doing what you're doing, they'll start falling. You have a spot on the team. Uh, which is interesting because, and look, I like Mark Vientos, as I said, but you can't trust him anywhere in the field. He's a DH that right now isn't getting results with the bat and hasn't gotten results with the bat in over a year now. Uh, and so you got kind of a crowded spot with, I think Benj is going to make the team. We'll talk about him. Talkman has been terrific in spring training. I don't really think they should can him. Tyrone Taylor, and then you have a lot of outfielders. Vientos, I think he's going to make, based on what Mendoza said, he's going to make the team. I'm struggling to see what his role might be. I think he's going to struggle for playing time because if Talkman makes a team, Talkman's had a great spring. So let's transition into that. We talked about early into the spring where Carson Bench was going to be at. David Stern said he had a chance to make the team. Bench has been great. He's hitting over 400. I think if he doesn't make the team, then I think that he never really had a chance to make the team. He's done everything.
Mm,
If he truly entered spring training with a chance to make the team, he's done everything he could possibly do. So I think he should be on the team.
mm,
They brought in Talkman as kind of like I would say kind of the backup option to Benj. If Benj didn't make it, maybe Talkman's going to be that guy. Talkman's been terrific also, and he's a veteran player. He's a good player, good on base guy. I
mm.
don't really want to cut him. Then you have
You're
Tyrone.
gonna have five outfielders though if you take Talkman in addition to Benj. So
Then
that
you have Tyrone
becomes
Taylor. I
right.
don't know if I haven't seen anything suggesting that Tyrone Taylor's kind of on a hot seat. But if you have all of them, you're going to be mixing guys in with the DH. Talkman would probably be a guy who's going to get DH at bats. We mentioned Beatty's probably going to get DH at bats. But those guys can also play the field and get at bats that way. Vientos, we circle back to him, is only a DH. I don't trust him anywhere on the field. He's brutal at third base. He's not very good at first base, and we have two guys above him at first base now. Obviously, Bichette's at third base. I struggle to see how he's going to find at bats.
Well, who would you rather have? Opening day comes around, and it's either Vientos or Carson Benj, and they're both going to get 115 games at least. Who would you rather have playing? I'm not saying that's the situation, but
Oh,
who's your
Ben,
pick?
definitely. Uh, at this juncture. But again, it's hard because Benj will be if Benj isn't going to DH. He'll play right field. He's a very good outfielder too, as a cannon
Mm,
because he was a pitcher in college. He's got a very good arm. Um, so I don't know that they're necessarily competing for playing time. They have themselves. You could say it's a good problem now, really, with how Talkman has performed in the spring.
mhm.
If Talkman was hitting a buck 50 in spring training, then he's gone. Whatever, that it is what it is. I think to me, Talkman's the type of guy where they get rid of him after the spring he's had. Someone's going to pick him up, and he's going to go out and have a nice season for someone. I think
I
he's a
agree.
good veteran bat to have. He doesn't have to play every day, but if he plays, 3 times a week on average, you can pinch hit in a big spot. He'll take a good at bat for you if you need. I think he's a good guy to have on the team with how he's playing. Uh, and as Mike kind of alluded to, it's a lot of outfielders, and I've seen some discussion that they might go short on the infield. With Lindor coming back,
That's
and
not a good idea.
I don't. It's not necessarily a terrible idea with Lindor coming back.
But you don't know how he's gonna respond. I'm
Lindor,
still kind of blown away by the fact that he's playing already.
well, and I wanted to bring this up because you said when
Yeah, I
he
mean,
initially got hurt, you're like, "There's no chance he's going to be ready for opening day."
I
And I'm
just
like,
don't think he. I
he
think
might
it's.
be.
I think it's pushing him along.
I
I
don't
don't know.
think he's not. As long as he feels healthy, then what's the problem?
Well, he's gonna say he's healthy. He wants to be on the field, right? So it's like I don't.
I,
I don't
I,
know.
I, I would trust that they're not pushing him along, and he's always been a quick healer. He's played through so many injuries as a Met. He hurt an oblique in his first year. Those are pesky. That got him for like a month maybe, and then in the end of 2024, he missed 10 games with what was it, the back. Those are the only times he's missed. He's like missed time as a Met. Not the only times he's been hurt. He's played through a million things, but those are the only things that caused him to actually miss games. Uh, and so he's just the type of guy who's going to go out there and play. I think he's fine. It was encouraging to me. His first game the other day, he ripped a single. It was like 105 maybe off the bat, but the pitch before that, he had a bomb foul. People always talk about coming off the hamate, the power gets zapped. So I thought that was encouraging to see that he could hit the ball with that authority, that he could impact the ball as he normally does.
You can hit a foul ball. Is that what you're talking about?
I don't care about the result. It's spring training. What I'm concerned about is how hard he's hitting the ball. Because
Look,
whether or not,
hitting a 105 single is fine, but hitting a foul ball with good contact is kind of like reaching.
how is that reaching? My point is not that my point is not that he's like locked in and he's going to come out the gate hitting 300. My point is that, as I said, there's the narrative where when guys come back from the hamate that they're not able to hit the ball as hard or impact the ball as they normally
Well, it's
do.
not a narrative; it's a fact.
Well, right, fine, so we agree. Seeing him hit a bomb, even if it was foul, is encouraging to me that he's capable of impacting the ball as he normally would be able to. I think that's entirely fair. Is there a problem with that, Mike?
I think it's a little. I think you're reaching. I think you're reaching.
How am I
It,
reaching? If that
It's
ball,
Francisco Lindor. Let's not get this confused. I'm going to hate on the Mets until the day I die. It's Francisco Lindor. This guy's got all the talent. He's what, 32 max. He's going to be fine. He's going to be completely fine. And whether they rush him or not is up to them. I don't think they should, but he's going to be absolutely fine.
yeah, I don't think. I think he's fine. My point. I just don't.
I
Mike,
hope he's fine. He's a top flight shortstop. It's
here's
better for the game of baseball when he's playing.
to
And
me.
for the Mets, I'm saying for the Mets' sake, I'm just hoping they're not. He's not pushing himself along a little bit too quickly
I
than
don't.
he should. That's
I'm
all.
pretty sure he's fine. And look, it's very possible that he might struggle out of the gate. I love Francisco Lindor. The one thing you can bag on him for in his time as a Met is he's been a kind of a slow starter. Not so much last year, but in every other year, slow starter. And now he's not getting his full load of spring training at bats to get ready. He might come out of the gate really slow. That's entirely possible. My point simply is that, you know, I'm happy to see him hit the ball hard because that suggests the hand isn't hampering him from doing so like some other guys happen. He still might struggle. He still has to hit the ball, right? But if he
Sure.
does hit the ball, this suggests to me that he's capable of doing it with the authority that we know he normally would.
So kind of going back to all of these puzzle pieces, right? With the five outfielders potentially, and we didn't even talk about Ronnie Mauricio and Mark Vientos and all those
Mauricio's not on the
guys,
team.
Yeah.
right?
My point.
Mauricio's not on the team. You said
No, I don't think so. My
so.
point
He
that I
starts
was
in AAA.
I got kind of I think he should. My point that I was kind of wrapping up with Lindor is that if he's going to be able to play, you don't need a backup shortstop on the roster because he's going to play every day. And if something were to happen to him in game between Bichette, Simeon, you can get through a game and then make a roster move after the fact. So I don't even Beatty could probably give you 5 innings at shortstop in a pinch.
Sure. So
So
who do you think is the odd man out of this roster kind of configuration here?
I mean, I guess the guy that really, I mean, Vidal Brujan's in camp. He looked like there might be an opening for him if Lindor was going to be hurt. I think that opening is kind of closing, and he's just kind of there now. If something happens to Lindor again, uh, but I don't think he really has a good chance to make the team anymore. And then Mauricio, I never thought Mauricio should make the team. Some people, going into camp, I think there was kind of an odd chance that maybe he could sneak in. Mauricio, to me, I know he has an option left. They kept him up all last year to preserve that option, despite the fact that he wasn't really playing. I've never been particularly high on Ronnie Mauricio. A lot of people are. He's very talented. He can hit the ball a million miles an hour. He can hit the ball a million feet. But he's never shown me the consistent ability to put the bat on the ball and take good at bats. He's really a poor right-handed hitter. He's kind of like Dominguez in that sense. Uh,
Ugh,
he's
that's a stray. That's a stray.
sorry, but he's not good against left-handed pitching as a right-handed hitter. The power is there left-handed, but he chases too much. I think he's had little stretches where he's kind of been hot, but for the most part, I think he's kind of been a zero. And if you look, the minor leagues when they called him up last summer, he was just coming off the ACL tear. He had missed the whole last year. He started in Syracuse and was hitting the cover off the ball. He was great. He was red hot. Mike just disappeared. He was hitting the cover off the ball, and you're right, pal.
Yes, I'll be right back. Give me a second.
Are you kidding me?
You guys
Unprofessional.
keep going.
Truly.
This is so unprofessional, Mike. You
I have
just
to readjust my positioning.
no. This is ridiculous.
This is good. This is good content.
What do you mean this is good? You're making us look like fools, Mike. Fool. We rescheduled the whole podcast because you have the plague and you cough a little bit. And then we're talking to Ronnie Mauricio. You just
All right,
shut
here
your
we
camera
go.
off. And now you
I
have
had to put my computer into the charger.
maybe you should have done that before, Mike.
I
Talk
did.
about-
I was on full battery when we started.
oh, that's wow. You might want to get your battery replaced.
Maybe.
Anywho, Mauricio, I'm kind of beating a dead horse, I guess, saying the same things, but I don't know. I'm not particularly high on them. He was great in AAA last year. Came up, wasn't really good. I don't see I forget how old he is, probably like 24 now. He's kind of been like a top prospect for a really long time. Uh, I
Yeah,
don't think he's not
24.
technically a prospect anymore. He's played too much in the majors. But
Turning 25 in a week and a half, 2 weeks.
there you go. So I don't know what I don't have any expectations for him. If at some point he ends up coming up and being great, then that's a huge win. But I personally don't expect it at all. But I think if that is going to happen, the route for it happening is him going into AAA and playing every day, as opposed to coming onto the major league team. He's an infielder that has and then for a major league team that has a starter that's going to play pretty much every day at every infield position, and guys that are going to DH before he would. So I just don't think there's value in that for him.
So to wrap up this outfield debate here, do you think Benj is the guy that is the starting right fielder?
I think he should be, and I think he will be. Unless I don't know what. Even if he struggles in his last couple spring training games, I feel like he's done.
Well, I think a lot of these decisions, not the decisions haven't already been made, but like they've seen what a month out of him now. So I don't think he's going to lose the job in the last week of spring.
I don't think so. And as I
If
said,
that's the way they're leaning. They could be leaning Talkman. You never know. But I'm not.
I don't think they are. I think, as I said, he's done. If he really had a chance to make the team coming into spring training, there's not much more you could have asked for from him to uh to do in this spring training. Uh, so then I think you'll have Soto, you'll have Robert Jr., and you'll have Benj as your starting outfield, and then
And
you'll have Talkman and Beatty kind of filtering in.
do you think Talkman's going to make the team?
I think there's a real chance of it. I think there's a
And what
very
do you do with Tyrone Taylor? Are you
You
saying they
got
take
it.
all five outfielders?
there's discussions that that's what they could do. And that's the type of
Is
thing where there's going to be a roster like these opening day rosters too. This is a general point that I've noticed over the years. Everyone makes a big fuss about the opening day rosters. They change so quickly and so rapidly. By the end of April, even by mid-April, there's guys that aren't on the team anymore. There's guys that are coming up and down. Or like like it's just how it goes. So they're gonna make a
is
big fuss about the opening day roster. If they determine they need another infielder, after a week, then they make a move. So
is Tyrone Taylor the greatest fielding outfielder of all time, or am I missing something? Why is he even in the discussion? He's got an
because
OPS in the
he's
fives last year.
he's a very good outfielder. He's
He's
outstanding.
like a real solid addition, a plus player to the outfield. Is
He's
what
an
we're hearing.
awesome center fielder. You
Okay.
could argue that there's the little less need for him with Robert, who's also an awesome center fielder. But that's the other
Mhm.
thing. Robert, I don't think is going to play every day. He's going to play most days. But my understanding
Not to
for him
start.
is
You got to
there.
watch the injuries with him.
He's barely played in spring training because they're taking it slow
Mm.
with him.
Yeah, only four
He's
games or
probably a
something like
play
that.
4 days a week, maybe five type of guy in the
Okay.
regular season. There's going to be at bats in center field that will be up for the taking, and Tyrone Taylor is by far the most logical choice to fill in center field because
All right.
again, it's not the type of thing where Robert is playing every single day and you don't even like a Lindor thing where you don't need a backup. Like Robert is there's going to be days he doesn't play, and I think it's enough that it justifies having a guy who's a true center fielder to take that.
Over over giving a guy like Benj some run in Tyrone Taylor's spot. I know it's not quite the same role that they'd be filling, but
And that they could put Bench in center field. I believe he's played center field and is capable of it. So they could decide that on the Robert off days, Bench slides over. It's a
mm,
feasible thing they could decide. I was trying to before last night to prepare for this. I was trying to look into if there was any reporting on Tyrone Taylor's spot on the roster because I had that realization we're all having now where it's like, all right, Benj, if Talkman makes a team, all of a sudden you have a lot of outfielders. Um,
mm,
I couldn't find anything suggesting that maybe he's on the cusp. That doesn't mean he's not. Uh,
right.
but I didn't see anything reporting that that's the case.
All
Uh,
right.
I wanted to talk about the bullpen a little bit too, quick, because Mendoza just said that recently that Brazoban is going to be on the opening day roster, which kind of gives a little bit more clarity to what the bullpen's going to be like. You guys mentioned how the Yankees are filling 8 bullpen spots. The Mets are only filling 7 because they're going to have the 6-man rotation to start.
That's
Uh,
confirmed. They're doing a 6-man.
per Anthony DeComo, I believe that is confirmed.
I hate 6-man rotations.
I know, I kind of do
Not
too,
a
and
The
I
fact that
fan?
the Mets are still accommodating Kodai Senga in a 6-man rotation at this stage of his MLB career is a little
I
ridiculous.
don't think it's going to last personally. I think it's if someone like in the rotation gets hurt, they're not going to replace them in the rotation. Probably they'll just shift to a 5 man. Uh,
Is it
I
for Kodai, or is it also to help protect Clay Holmes, or is he fully stretched out and no issues with innings?
I don't think Clay Holmes has a problem. I think it's largely Kodai or just a general trying to give guys an extra day type
Okay.
thing. I would personally, I don't think it's going to last by May, June. I think it'll probably be a 5 man rotation. Not sure what will happen to get to that point, but things always come up.
Hmm.
Uh, I think this is just how the opening day roster is going to look. Things change very quickly. Um, but given that, 7 bullpen arms, Brosban now is one of them. So you have Williams, Weaver, Raley, Tobias Myers, Luis Garcia, and Oscar Brosban are 6. So you have one spot left. Uh, Based on what you'll have AJ Minter coming back in like May, so that's another thing that's going to kind of change the complexion of things. Um, he's hopefully going to be a really big arm for them over the summer and down the stretch. Um, the two guys that are really competing for this last spot are Craig Kimbrell, and Brian Hudson, who's a left-hander they picked up at the beginning of camp or sometime in camp from the White Sox. Had a bad year last year. He had a 170 ERA in over 40 games for the Brewers in 2024. So he's had success before as a left-hander coming out of the bullpen. Um, he's only pitched a couple times in spring training. His numbers weren't great, but it's like 2 or 3 outings. Not putting much into that. I read a little bit about he was saying how last year he was trying to change too much with his mechanics and get a little. He's trying to overdo it a little bit, and he's trying now to get back to what he was able to do in 2024. Uh,
Hmm.
he's the type of guy. Again, we talk about the rosters changing. He'll make the team, or if he makes the team, when Minter comes back, probably he's gone. He might even be gone before then. If he has a couple bad outings, he's kind of be that last kind of spot in the bullpen that is a constant cycle between AAA and the big leagues. Kimbrel has pitched his numbers are decent in spring, but his command has been poor. He's walking guys, he's hitting guys. He's gotten out of jams, which is a good sign, you could say. But he hasn't. He's been pitching into jams, which you also don't want out of the bullpen. So
Right.
he should have a couple more outings left over the next week. If he has a couple clean outings, he's got a real shot to kind of sneak into the bullpen, I think. So we'll see what happens there. Uh, I like where the bullpen is at. Brazaban, I think, is awesome. He was great for the Dominican and the WBC. People are kind of learning his name from that. Last year, he was great for a couple months with the Mets, but they were using him so much, and I think that's what kind of caused him to tail off over the summer. He was pitching 4 or 5 times a week. It felt like because it Mendoza felt like he was the only guy he could trust for a while there, and so I think if they can really cap his usage a little bit, he's a guy who can be really good out of the bullpen. You know, a couple of times or 3 times a week.
And the Mets rotation just didn't give length last year, so
Yeah.
that's why
That's part of it. Yeah.
these relievers were just worked into the ground, and someone like Brazaban could have fizzled out when it came June, July because the work that he had to do in March and April caught up to him.
Yep.
So
I'm glad you brought up Brazaban because he was really impressive in the WBC. It was I was shocked how lights out he was.
Yeah. His stuff is awesome. His changeup is incredible. Good fastball. He's like 35, 36. He didn't come up too
Really?
late. I kind of didn't
Yeah,
realize
he's
that.
36. Wow.
Yeah, he's a lot older than I realized until not that long ago. He came up late, but the stuff is 100% there, and I think the stuff will
Hmm.
be there if they use him properly. And I think they have enough guys between Weaver, Williams, Raley that are kind of a tier ahead of him in those
Hmm.
higher leverage innings that they can kind of use Brasban. Plus Myers, who can give you multiple innings. They can use
Right.
Brasban in a more appropriate role so long as the starters can give some semblance of length, unlike last year.
speaking of starters, Sean Manaea has been a topic of discussion.
Sean Manaea.
Well,
His fastball's hovering around 89 at the moment. Are there any concerns there?
he was like topping 89 yesterday or the
Oh,
day
we're not
before.
for top 89. Okay.
He threw I saw an 86 mile per hour four seam fastball, which is certainly concerning to some level. And again, this is where I say I don't know how long the 6 man rotation lasts. If Manaea goes out there and is terrible, there's your answer right there.
I
Uh,
mean, he's getting paid $25 million this year and next year. Is there a point where it's Sean Manaea, you can't pitch at the big league level, we're going to cut you? Is it, I don't know if he does a 5.6 ERA again, if you could even trade him. Is there, if things don't go well with Sean Manaea, what comes next?
it's a good question. I'm not sure what that point is, but I think that point will exist because we've seen Steve Cohen has been willing to eat money on guys if they're
Hmm.
kind of an albatross or really a black hole on the roster. He's done it before. That he did it with Robinson Cano is a big one that comes to mind. Uh,
Yep.
I think it's not going to be soon per se. I think there's still a couple of years left of Manaea. They're going to try to get what they can out of him, but that point will exist. When that is, I'm not sure exactly. He pitched his numbers. That start against the Marlins the other day, he pitched good. It was 4 innings, I think, 4 strikeouts. I don't think he gave up a run. But the velo wasn't there. The stuff seemingly wasn't there. So it's certainly a concern. He thinks that the velo is going to bounce back come the regular season. We'll see if that happens. I don't think he's been a guy who, so there's some guys that in spring training, their velo is always down and then it always ramps up. Historically, he hasn't been that guy. His velo has always been more or less the same as usual in spring training.
Hmm.
So it's concerning now to see this, especially because last year he had the injury issues. I don't understand why he had the loose bodies in his elbow, I think, and he didn't get that repaired over the offseason, which most guys do. So I think that's a little odd. Uh, he's certainly, I think, the biggest question in the rotation coming off a year which he was hurt a lot, and he also wasn't good when he did pitch. Now the velo is significantly down, so uh, it's a little bit of a question mark. We could start wrapping up. I did want to hit on some potential downfalls of the Mets Yankees. We can give win
Mm.
predictions of the teams, and then I think they're both teams that have relatively high expectations going into the year. But if something
Mm.
goes wrong, what we think that might be. If you guys want to start with the Yankees,
Well, Mike, you wanna set the tone because I think my number might be a little too high.
Let's see. Yankees won 94 games last season, right? 94 and
Mm.
68, tied for first in the American League East. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be foolish and say they're going to win 96 games on March 18th. I just think that's a little bit um, crazy, in my opinion. So I'm going to sit
I'm,
right now at maybe this is even too high as well, but I'm going to sit at 92 wins for the New York Yankees in the year 2026.
well, I'm glad I let you go first. I was going to say 96. That's the highest I can see them going. That's exactly what and for me it was 96 or 93. I think we saw in the last couple of years they've looked at the season in two halves, the pre All-Star break and deadline and post. I think if they can be in a decent enough spot where Bednar isn't going the way of Devin Williams or Clay Holmes and losing every single game for us in the summer. And then they add pieces to their bullpen like Bednar, like Doval. They added McMahon and Caballero. I think I think they'll be in a competitive enough position in the East where they're going to want to buy. It's the Judge window, and I think that those additions are really going to click. And every team's got them. We saw a couple devastating losses to Miami
Yeah,
that shouldn't have happened. We saw there's at least a handful more games we definitely shouldn't have lost along
you
the
can
way. And
pull
if you flip
probably 10 games that they probably shouldn't have
right,
lost.
and
I always do
every team has those. So I'm not super high on them, but I think I say that as I'm saying they're going to win 96 games.
that.
I think that if you can flip one or two of those games, and I'm counting on a big deadline. If there's no deadline, it's 92, 93 tops. But if you have a deadline like you did last year, maybe you get another bat. I think you get 96.
I'm gonna go 90 even for the Mets. I
Mm.
think this can be a 90 plus win team, but I'll leave it right at the 90 win plateau. I really, really like the lineup the Mets have. I think it's deeper than it's been in previous years. Um, I think between guys like Beatty, who, Beatty's raking in spring training, not necessarily going to do that to the extent in the regular season. But if he's like a 760 OPS guy and can hit like 20 homers as kind of a super utility guy, that's awesome. The guys are probably going to clown me for saying this, but because I think Mets fans say it every year, I think this is the Francisco Alvarez year. I think
Mm.
he made
We're in
big.
year 3 or 4 with Alvarez now.
He also came up at the very end of 2022. Uh,
Damn.
it's really like year three of
Like his third full season.
right.
It kind
Um,
of happened last year, didn't it?
well, so last year he
What?
was terrible the first part of the season. They sent him to AAA. He made some adjustments, came back. The last 40 some odd games he played was terrific.
Hmm.
I believe in OPS over 900. He made adjustments to his batting stance, to his swing in AAA, came back and was great. And he's been good in spring training. He hit a moonshot recently to dead central. Um, the offensive potential has always been there, and he showed stretches of being that kind of guy. Uh,
Hmm.
but I think the fact that it was not just a one-off hot streak last year, it was that he was so bad, went down, made adjustments, and came back and was so good. Uh,
Hmm.
that I think speaks highly. He probably won't have a 900 OPS, but even he, as a catcher, if he has a high 700 OPS and can hit 20, 25 home runs, he has power
Yeah.
potential to hit more than that. More than happy with that. And that really, really lengthens the lineup. So between him and Beatty, and if Benj can, also be solid, if Talkman can provide something, he's always kind of been a solid hitter, a guy who can get on base. I think all of a sudden you have a really long lineup that doesn't have a ton of weaknesses. Maybe Robert offensively would be a weakness. We'll see. He's a big question mark, I think, as to what he's going to be offensively. But I think the lineup is really long and has a potential to be really good. The rotation is where it gets a little iffier. I think that they have the potential to be good, but I think it's a much greater question mark to me than the lineup. There's a lot that could kind of go wrong with Sanga, with Manaya, um, with I feel pretty good about Clay Holmes, but there's still I think people have some questions with him still.
He
Dave
Uh,
was
Pete.
good last year. He'll be good.
Dave Pete is
Yeah.
always has been up and down. So I think there's more questions there, but I feel pretty good about the bullpen. I feel really good about the lineup, and I think that it's a team that is more than capable of winning 90 games. We'll shift over to the downfalls. For the Mets, I would say I mentioned the rotation. If something goes wrong, I think it will be the rotation. It'll be, they're kind of banking on Sanga figuring it out again. They're banking on Manaya figuring it out again, and he looks rough. They're banking on David Peterson being solid at the very least. There's also potential that all three of those guys are terrible. There's a world in which that happens, and then all of a sudden they're kind of in a little bit of a tough spot. Now they do have Tobias Myers, and as a guy who can come into the rotation, they do have Christian Scott as a guy that can come into the rotation. So there's backup plans to that, but I think you know with pitching, guys can always get hurt, and there's kind of guys that haven't done it on a consistent basis in either a number of years or really ever. Guys like Sanga, Peterson, Manaya, that might be good. They also might be bad, and if they're bad, all of a sudden, the team's going to be scuffling like they were last year.
Well, before I start, what do you think, Mike? I can't decide if the weakness will be the staff or the lineup, and you could tell me either
Yeah,
one, and
I
I'd agree
think
with you.
it would be a combination of both, and it would be in
Mm.
that June swoon that they typically
The June
endure.
Boone swoon. Yeah.
You know, April and May are usually months of strength for the Yankees over the last few seasons, where they come out really strong, and then June just shit hits the fan. They
Hmm.
strike out a lot. They don't hit with runners in scoring position. The starting pitching provides zero length. The bullpen implodes. So I think it can be a combination of everything, but I think I'm going to lean on the starting pitching, especially with guys like Rodon coming back from an injury, Cole coming back from an injury. So they're going to be relying on Warren, Weathers, and Heel 3 out of the 5 days for the rotation to go out and
Hmm.
give some quality starts. And it's very possible that A, they don't, or B, they get injured, and then you're calling on maybe a Ryan Yarbrough or a Paul Blackburn to make a spot start, which that may not turn out to be well because, again, Ryan Yarborough's best role is a guy out of the bullpen that can give you a couple innings when you need him. And then you
Right.
also have a guy like Elmer Rodriguez who can hopefully, if an injury were to come about, he can step in and deliver a few quality starts. That's the route I hope they go if somebody goes
Hmm.
down. If Elmer's ready, of course. If he's not ready, then let him keep going in AAA.
Yeah.
But
Don't rush.
like if we're in the middle of June, early July portion, like I think he should be ready by then. And if we're
Hmm.
still going to a guy like Paul Blackburn, then it might be a little like, yo, what are we doing here? But I do
Yeah.
think it's going to be the rotation that would haunt them. I
Mm.
really am confident in the lineup once again. It's a team that had the best offense in baseball when it comes to home runs, when it comes to runs scored, OPS, all that kind of good stuff. So I think they're
Hmm.
going to hit the 7, 8, 9 is a question, but that's how it is in
Yeah.
most lineups, right? It's
Yep.
going to be McMahon, it's going to be Caballero, it's going to be Wells, and I thought Wells had a good WBC. Um, yeah, and if McMahon can hit his weight like we talked about earlier, then he'll be okay. But again,
Big
it's
if,
the
but
big if.
fingers crossed.
And then I think again, Caballero is another one who had a good WBC and had a really good start, good end to the season last year. So I think he could be
Hmm.
somebody that maybe surprises people a bit. And we all know what to expect from guys like Judge and Bellinger, and hopefully Jazz becomes a guy who's consistent throughout the course of the season. So I think
Hmm.
it is going to be the starting pitching that would hamper them if things were not to go as well.
I might say it's the lineup. There could come a time in June where everyone on the left side of the field, Wells, Grisham, Dominguez, Ryan McMahon, and Volpe when he takes back over, if he does, when none of them are hitting, I can see a world where that is extremely possible, and that scares the hell out of me. But Gresham's showed all the underlying metrics that he's going to have another good season. Maybe not 34 homers, but I think there's enough. I have enough faith in the lineup to do what they've been doing, but it does scare the hell out of me when you look at it all in one big unit like that. And before we get too far, I forgot to mention earlier on my bullish 96 win prediction, no more Carlos Carrasco, no more Marcus Stroman, no more DJ
That's right.
LeMahieu for 50 games, and no more Devin Williams.
No,
So
no more
thought
Oswald
I'd throw that in there.
Peraza. Your beat,
No more Peraza.
Bibas.
They took out the
Mm-hmm.
trash.
That's right. And then they shipped it over to Queens.
Hey, the Mets acquired some non-trash items from the Yankees.
Yes, yes. They had a very good offseason. Very good offseason.
All right, fellas, we'll do the. We said 2 weeks the last time, and now it's been almost 4 weeks since we did it.
Yeah.
We'll get another episode out sometime soon in the early part of the season, and see how things are looking.
Check in around opening
Yes,
day,
sir.
maybe.
Yes,
No, I
sir.
think Sunday, or not this Sunday, the following Sunday would probably be. Maybe I don't. We'll figure it out.
We'll
We'll
figure it
figure
out.
it out.
We'll figure it out. All right. Thanks for watching.
All right.